that's happening now.
Yeah.
He's loved Alistair so much, and the Taric was open.
Yeah.
But they decided to go for Singed anyway because they think he's broken.
Yeah, this is QB Kid's what, 5th straight game on Singed. We talked about his teleport Katarina, the victory against Vulcan. Every game since then, Singed.
He's going to play it every time they can. That's the way Dignitas is going to go for. But smart pick by Vulcan right after that. Their Alistair was part of the chain gank strategy that they have pulled off so much to get Zuna fed. So the fact that they've both picked that and also denoyed it from Patoy will give them a bit of an edge. But of course, Crumbs has his tier of junglers that he goes down. It's like Xin Zhao, Vi, Jarvan, and I think Hecarim was in there somewhere, but he's gotten one of them.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't remember seeing Vi a whole heck of a lot today.
No.
It was instrumental in, I think, Dignitas' victory against CLG last week, and so we'll see if that ends up being the case here. And they've also grabbed, I'm going to guess, the support pickup of Zyra.
That is probably a safe guess. Like, Patoy is a real support Zyra player, and I don't think Skara plays much Zyra. He plays a lot of champions, but I don't think Zyra is on his docket list. And the Vi will force Zuna, I think, into a more defensive AD carry. He would love to play Kog'Maw right now, but it's extremely vulnerable when something like Vi can be diving through to you.
And it's interesting, too, because you look at champions like Vi, because champions like Vi and Malphite, you actually can't knock them out of their dashes. For someone like Jax, you can whimsy him and he won't hit you with Leap Strike. But a champion like Vi can't be crowd controlled. It's like Alistair can't play Bodyguard until the suppression's already gone through. Vulcan with 2 seconds left, looking at their next 2 picks, and it's going to be a show on the top lane Rumble, and there is that safe Ezreal pick.
And if they lane against each other in the top lane, and I know this was when Kiwi Kid was playing a different top laner, but when he played Singed against Rumble against GGU, when Fat was on Rumble, the minion kill score in that game was like 270 to 8 to 100 or something. Like he obliterated him in the 2v1 swap around, so that'll be difficult for Psycho Sid just to keep up with Singed.
And interesting, we've actually got the last 2 picks here for Dignitas as well. Gragas used to be target banned against Skara, and he's got that comfort champion back on himself. Cutie Pie doesn't get Draven, picks another bruiser, goes for Grace.
Yeah, he likes the manly AD carries.
Yeah.
Big muscles that can dive in there. Just an observation, but, you know.
It's a cool way to play.
His Graves will hopefully be strong, and he will be able to play that in a very aggressive style as Ryze gets locked in as the final pick for Vulcan.
Alrighty, so Jack, what do these teams look like now that we've seen the champions go through? What are both these teams looking for?
Right, so I feel like Dignitas will be able to initiate very well. This is what they did well when they played against CLG, is they can just go for it. Either Crumbs or Skara can create for them, and then the Zyra ultimate will lock up really well after that. So they're going to be the initiation team with Kiwi Kid just kind of on the side. Vulcan, on the other hand, does have that bottom lane gank synergy kind of happening once again. Alistair, Ezreal, followed by Xin Zhao. Not quite as rough as the horse lane that they had before, but it should be still very scary to counteract I'm a Cutie Pie's aggressive style. Late game, it is the double AP composition, so it's not the armor stacking we've seen from either of these teams. I do like this matchup, though.
All right, so once again, guys, when you think about where these teams are in the LCS, there are a number of games through here. Vulcan currently sitting at, if I have my numbers right, 3 and 6. 3 and 6. Pretty much the opposite numbers here for Dignitas at 2 and 5. So
5 and 2.
5 and 2. Yeah, sorry. I said opposite numbers and then just flipped myself around. But certainly a wonderful win streak here for Dignitas. We'll see if, I mean, we saw Vulcan's win streak get ended today. We'll see if Dignitas' win streak get ended today. We'll see if Curse's win streak get ended today. But right now,
a lot
certainly,
of streaks going on.
A lot of streaks going on, really.
How many streaks did you just say?
Well, technically, everyone's got a streak if you count one as a streak.
One doesn't count as a streak.
One doesn't count as a streak.
I think you need 3 for a streak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Vulcan's just ended. Dignitas clearly on one. Curse clearly on one. We'll see, of course, if they can end that. You can see the guys up on screen right behind us. And it is going to be, I think it's a tough road ahead for Vulcan, but they're the players that can do it.
Yeah, and they have really good team cohesion. Like, that's the only way they could come back with 3 wins last week after starting the season 0-5. So the one loss that they suffered earlier today should not have shaken their confidence, and they should be ready to go for this game against Dig.
All right, well, here we go. We are into the game, and you can see Dignitas on that blue team following Skara's manly Gragas barrel under his arm. Vulcan coming down from the top right corner. And right now, already defensive positions on both sides. They split themselves across the map. Actually, pings coming out from Vulcan. They're pinging either ward spots or places they're going to stand. But, I mean, right off the bat, you're seeing AD carries and supports running towards the top side of the map.
Could this be the game where we do not see an early tower push? I know I'm a Cutie Pie was sitting on the side, and he was like, not letting people dive me, as he brought Cleanse. I think they could still probably dive him if they really wanted to, but they've decided against that one. So now the red elixir has started on Skara as well, so
He is brawling people
That's
then.
that's a big Gragas. You don't see the red elixir mid very often.
We have seen blue elixirs mid a little bit. More and more frequently we've seen that. I believe Jinte and Mancloud both brought them in when they played Kale and put out some early damage with that. But yeah, red elixir Gragas, quite the brawler here. We're seeing an early pink ward come down from Patoy, actually stops out an aggressive ward that Vulcan put down by the Wraith camp. So Dignitas are really in control of vision on their side of the map right now.
Yeah, and we saw a reduction of early game wards earlier on in the day, but Dignitas has the 4 out right now. Vulcan just sitting on the 2 because one of them has been killed off. But the actual knowledge that these wards are granting is actually fairly minimal. No one put a ward on any of the big 4 buffs, so there's probably not going to be any kind of direct invading or interaction. The only kind of thing I see right now is the fact that Kiwi Kid is taking Wraiths, while I'm a Cutie Pie and Scar do double golems, and they're actually leaving Crumbs by himself to kill the Wraiths. I was talking about Wolves. I got myself mixed up.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So Crumb's taking a bit of damage there. Did start with E himself, the area of effect helping him clear. And they're just starting red for himself. So Crumb's a red start. Meanwhile, a blue start here actually for Xmithy. And looks like it's going to be a smiteless pull as well. Sekosid spending a lot of time helping him out there.
So Skara has been sent bottom lane. Wait a minute, what's going on? There's a 2-man mid for Dignitas. That's what's happening. They've decided to give every lane an early start, and they're trying to shove in Ryze because Ryze is very weak at shoving early, so they might try to get actually the mid turret, and finally we might not see the tower dives.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that one. Of course, you can see Cutie Pie running up there, buckshot going into the face of Mancloud, and he's just going to have to sit there in the back throwing out basic attacks, hoping to keep his turret alive. But Dignitas, yeah, that 2-on-1 aimed to shut down Ryze, maybe even push the turret.
We'll see how that one has to develop.
And meanwhile, Crumb's there on the blue buff. He's going to grab that for himself. Pretty easy grab. You're seeing kind of a mirrored spot here. There you can see Xmithy on the red buff. He's grabbed that, and he's aiming towards this top lane here. I don't know if he's looking for Singed already, but he's certainly going towards him.
So they have a pink ward in this brush, so they know that there's at least not one in his direct approach, but they have to know that Xmithy's getting seen by this one. Here we go, Dignitas. What do they have countered here? And here's the nice thing. They can actually send their support up from mid lane to make 3 people defend off this one.
And you can see Crumbs right there punching Xmithy in the face. Maybe going to punch him in the back right here. Muffin Cutie says, nope, I'm a Longhorn Alistair. You can get yourself back away from that one. But they've kept themselves alive.
And they did it. The team prevented the turret from dying at 4 minutes. All they had to do was put 2 people mid and then roam a support down. It's not going to happen for them. Kiwi Kid is safely at his turret. He's smoking back his health potions. Maybe, I'm going to say this now, and he's probably going to die in like 30 seconds, but it looks like they've repelled it.
And Crumbs, I really like the move he made here as well. He actually knew he dropped Xmithy dangerously low on health and took away the Wraith camp. And now he's looking for Mandatory Cloud. Charges the Vault Breaker, doesn't quite land it though, so no crowd control on the Man Cloud. He will survive with no summoners down, but they've now found Kiwi Kid. That was an interesting pulverize.
Yeah, Muffin Cutie accidentally pushed him a little too far in the turret, took a bit too much turret aggro, and then couldn't combo his headbutt pulverize. Something interesting about his Alistair last week, even though it was super effective, he did actually miss a lot of headbutt pulverize combos. He actually seems to prefer headbutting than walking up and pulverizing to extend the overall CC for longer, but he ends up missing it a lot.
Well, meanwhile, of course, you're going to see him look for another set of crowd control as they're shoving this Singed off the turret, happily walking through Poison Bro. Goes for the flash pulverize, headbutts him back into range. Can they put on the rest of this damage? Kiwi Kid only has Ghost. He's popped it. That is first blood for Zuna. So, just takes it a couple more minutes, but they will find that 3-on-1 tower dive.
Yeah.
Crumbs waiting in Tri-Brush.
And instead of the 3 minutes and 30 seconds, they got him at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And the reason that worked is Kiwi Kid was, like, if the pulverize would have hit Kiwi Kid while he was under the turret, he would have been able to fight that off. But because they caught him during a retreat between turrets, that the dive was able to work because they could kill him without the assistance of the turret, and it was a good kill onto Kiwi Kid.
Oh, of course, amazing early aggression there. This is looking like a happy place for Vulcan to be. You're seeing Cutie Pie actually just straight up one-on-one against Mancloud, and it's still building an advantage for him. You're seeing this Ryze only at 18 minions. So as far as that lane swap is concerned, Dignitas is looking pretty okay. But Kiwi Kid's not looking the best.
Patoy would have really had to be up there when that next 3-man gank came through. The fact that the gank came through the lane is what I think threw Dignitas off the most about that, which is why they couldn't mount a counterattack. But now, Kiwi Kid's already back in lane. He does have the cloth armor just sitting there. I think he's going to be fairly resilient to this. We've seen him start games really rough on Singe, but then still come flying back.
The guy always just seems to manage to grab farm no matter where he goes. It's an amazing skill that he has. We're going to look back at the bottom lane here. Of course, Skara just one-on-one against Psycho Sid, and that one's going actually very, very even. 38 to 38 in minion kills, and no junglers even touched this lane either. It's that old school top lane farm fest where no one touches it.
It's even more isolated. Actually, xSmithy might be looking for a gank mid, but he escapes it.
Yeah, walked right up to Cutie Pie. Actually gets rooted in the back. Nope, only a little bit of damage. He will walk out from that one. But the chain crowd control is available.
Muffin Cutie.
He's looking for it. Can he get the pulverize? Oh, the flash from Cutie Pie will dodge that away. Nice attempt.
Knowing that the quick draw was down for Cutie Pie, they did at least burn the flash by making Muffin Cutie coming from the back. And since there was no pressure up top and no one really for Muffin Cutie to defend for, that was a really smart gank and good burn of flash.
And I just love how much we're seeing the players walk from lane to lane over and over. Again, we've seen Patoy walk up to the top twice. We've seen Alistair come down. xSmithy's been omnipresent, of course. And the just amount of mobility here, because those duo lanes are close together, they just keep fighting each other. It's a fun game to watch. Crumbs actually is looking at the bottom lane. It has been pushed all the way through.
And we've seen a lot of roaming all day from these guys, even with double lift going. But Psycho Sid getting aggressed on by Scar, and there's Crumbs.
All right, he puts the equalizer down. Scar taking a whole bunch of punches. He actually flashes and dodges the Vault Breaker. Psycho Sid picks up that kill, but Crumbs will turn it around.
It's actually strange. That feels like an amazing play for Psycho Sid, but unless they take pressure somewhere else, that was 150 extra gold for Dignitas because they got the assist pool. So that actually might have been a good play by Scar when he died. Like, assuming he didn't need to die, but with the death, it's a good trade.
But it was a good pickup, of course, and now Crumbs shoving his way into the turret. And up until xSmithy shows up, that's a bunch of minions they're losing as well. Crumbs just really going for damage output. And actually, xSmithy's going to go for the Golem buff instead. So ManCloud's going to have that, some nice mana regen and cooldown reduction. But there is still no one in this bottom lane to soak up these minions.
And look at this monstrous minion kill difference between Crumbs and xSmithy. They're both on junglers, but it's 44 to 46, 47 as it keeps going up to 19. The amount of lane farm that Crumbs has been able to pick up because he was the beneficiary of that gank and because he held this top turret when Kiwi Kid died is going to put him in position to potentially carry this mid-game on Vi.
Well, yeah, he's a full level up, actually. Kiwi Kid just hitting level 6. Crumbs already had that mark himself. We're going to see if Kiwi Kid can keep himself alive, of course, right here, but yeah, we're going to watch Crumbs just kind of turn into a beast right here. The pressure on this mid turret, it's down below a quarter health. Cutie Pie is there, and ManCloud is just spamming abilities at him, trying to get him off of that. But here comes the gank again. Psycho Sid is a bit overextended. There is the ultimate coming in from Crumbs. Some more damage onto Sid. He's trying to run away. A nice body slam is going to come in from Skara, and he's going to pick up his second kill in this lane.
I feel like that was big time over-aggression by Psycho Sid. Crumbs has been down there for quite a while. He expected him to be gone when that went through, but they really just powered through. And the big thing here will be if they can take this turret in time in bottom lane with the drink from Scar and the pounding from Crumbs and just trade it back and forth, and they'd be right into the game then.
And that would be a great thing for them. You're seeing the gold very, very close by here. 11,000 to 11.8. Just that turret really is what separated these teams. But the teleport comes in from ManCloud, and that is enough to actually push the team away. So he, despite having that rough mid lane at 44 minions, and actually able to teleport away from his own lane to keep a turret alive.
Here's a problem, though. The mid turret is much more valuable than the bottom turret. His mid turret's been pushed for so long that now xSmithy has been able to come over and cover. So they have to... This is a really tricky situation for Vulcan because both their mid and bottom turrets are at like 20% health. So even though they have the gold advantage because their turrets haven't technically fallen yet, they have been dealt more turret damage than they have themselves dealt. So Dignitas is ahead in turret damage, but behind in turrets.
It's like a game of Jenga. Dignitas is slowly pulling one block out at a time, and at some point they're going to crumble. Now Sid is going to be heads up against Kiwi Kid. That top lane had just fallen. That turret went down, so they're going to kind of rebuff one of their other lanes. Send Zuna, looks like towards the bottom lane right here. They've got a pink ward around Dragon as well. And again, they're trying to stop Skara from pushing. Muffin Cutie's going to get there in time. They are keeping these turrets just precariously alive.
And in the jungle, Crumbs is probably going to pick this blue buff up for himself. He is really in a position to carry right now. Vi benefits hugely from the blue buff. The mana cost on her E is actually really, really high. So if she wants to be able to spam it and keep the pressure up and clear the jungle quickly, the blue buff is much needed. Since Scar is in the bottom lane, of course the blue buff is free for him, but Crumbs is in still a great position.
All right, and of course you can still see him basically double the minion kills onto xSmithy. We're just going to kind of keep counting the fact that he is the highest level person heck, in the game right here, Crumbs absolutely having a great game for himself. I think we're going to keep talking about this man.
Well, here comes
He's looking for
Crumbs.
ManCloud. It's actually a 2-on-2. They both come in at the same time. Look at the burst onto ManCloud, but they trade on McCutiePie, and now here comes a jungle brawl. But Crumbs, we talked about him being so much farther ahead. Xmithie is just running away for dear life, and he's going under the turret. Crumbs just does not want to get this one up whatsoever. Purse is flashed away from Xmithie. Can he get the... Oh, he's a minion, and the damage comes through to pick up the kill.
That fight was awesome because both the junglers just appeared at the same time with their dash, but then, of course, Crumbs had the second dash because of the Vi ultimate. They were able to crush down Mandatory Cloud right away, and that's all the farm he's been getting that entire time. That one level advantage and the fact that he was double buffed compared to Xmithie just having one buff, and the fact that he made the amazing punch on the minion, turned that one, and now he's looking even stronger.
And of course, he didn't even have boots as part of that chase. He was just able to dash his way through this one. Actually has already completed Lizard Elder at 11 minutes. That is a gigantic jungle item.
Real scary. Crumbs is at 3,900 gold, so the only person with more gold than him in the game right now is Zuna on Vulcan with 4,000. But again, position to carry from the jungle. How is the team going to adapt to that? At this point, though, Vulcan trying to make something happen, realizing it's slipping away a little bit. With Psycho set up top, they're going for a dragon.
All right, here we go. Crumbs is coming in from the side. Pink ward comes down. Now Vulcan can clear that ward out. They've got one of their own that's going to drop down. Smoke cloud comes through.
And Dignitas wants to stall this one out for about 20 seconds. That's the cooldown on Crumbs' assault and battery right now. They also want to see if they can get Kiwi Kid to come here as well. They're trying to scare Vulcan back from the dragon just so they can arrive and fight.
All right, and of course, Seed's still coming down from Batoy. He's trying to build those up. Muffin Cutie not even going to pop that. They don't care so much at all, but they've pulled the top laners down. It's going to be a full 5-on-5. There comes all of Dignitas. Crumbs is there. Nope, they've picked up the dragon, but the team, are they going to be ready to disengage? Looks like they're not going to find anything here.
Dignitas got a little scared that Psycho Sid was going to pincer them in and they'd be trapped in a temporary 4v5, so them peeling back briefly allowed Vulcan to finish off the dragon.
All right, really great play. Of course, CutiePie still aggressive. Look at him going for damage. Actually, Muffin Cutie forced to ult away at very, very low health. The wave clear at the mid lane. Dignitas, will they keep pushing? Looks like with the minions gone, they won't just yet, but they're sticking around.
And they're going to try to get this next turret. The Jenga blocks have been falling. They already got the bottom one. Now they're onto the mid, and because of the harass that McCutiePie landed onto Muffin Cutie, they might look to make something happen. Crumbs is around the back, but Vulcan is not having any of it as Rumble burns his ult on the creep wave.
And they're just trying to get rid of them so that this turret will not fall down. Just desperate defense here, trying to glue those blocks together. But Dignitas are on the front line. Oh, an amazing ult finds ManCloud, burns his flash. Ult comes in from Ezreal to force them to disengage. They've still kept the turret alive, and there's a gigantic minion wave at the bottom of the map, but Crumbs with his map control steals away the blue buff.
Dignitas was in mid long enough. They want to split off and get this farm, but because Vulcan realizes they have a huge wave pushing bottom, some teams do this so well, they realize Dignitas was going to send someone there, so they are now immediately counter-pushing back up mid, trying to get some damage.
And you can see the wave clear trying to come out from Skara, but nope, 5 men strong. Vulcan might be finding their... Oh, Muffin Cutie flashes in and finds them. McCutiePie pushes them against the wall. A lot of damage from Rise, but look at that barrel! So much damage coming in. The assault and battery on a ManCloud. He will fall down. Muffin Cutie's going to be the second one. Double kill here for Crumbs. I think he's got 5 now. Zuna not going to take damage there. He'll flash away from that one. But what a great turnaround by Dignitas.
Amazing barrel by Skara. McCutiePie got his flash off at just the right moment so that Vulcan couldn't burst him down, and they were committed so far that the barrel just trapped them in there with Zyra and with the Gragas barrels. They got decimated 4v5, and that just turned so bad for them. This is the moment where Kiwi Kid catches up in farm, and Dignitas also takes a big gold lead.
Wow, 2 turrets in a row grabbed right there. Kiwi Kid on like his 7th minion wave as well. He's certainly catching up. You're going to see him break past 70 minions. And Crumbs on another buff steal here, of course. Again, all of Vulcan just died, and he's like, great, I'm going to take your Lizard. I just took your Golem. Your jungle is mine. I am Crumbs.
That hurts for Xmith because it's now level 10 to level 7, and he just had both his buffs stolen away. And this is one of the smart things that Dignitas can kind of do. We heard that how they're talking so well back and forth, but let's take a look at that last team fight to see how it all happened. So this was a matter of them over-diving. Watch out McCutiePie. He gets stunned, but he gets the flash right when the Rune Prison hits. Then the Gragas barrel, the Zyra ultimate, and the cask all came in at the same time, and Vulcan at that point was too low since they were sitting in the turret.
And you can just see everyone running away at the very end right there. Nice flash, of course. Again, Zuna surviving himself, but a great fight right there, the crowd control. And now we're going to see these teams split themselves back up. We're 15 minutes into the game. It was neck and neck, but Dignitas just pulled themselves a big lead. 23,000 and 19,000 in gold. PewDiePie just got his own lizard buff. Actually, that top turret did go down during that replay as well, so Dignitas actually 4-1 in turrets.
And this is just the Dignitas presence coming into it. They are a good adaptive team. Like, the way they all feed information into Crumbs just so Crumbs can kind of make all the decisions. Usually, Crumbs is all about channeling the farm into his carry lanes. He decides which lanes to gank. He decides who to get going. He abandons Kiwi Kid's lane, as he said in the past with Singed. But this game, because he was able to get the lane farm and the first couple kills, he's kind of just said, all right, I'm going to be the one who tries to take all the kills as he goes for Zuna.
All right, nice knock up on Zuna. He's trying to get away, of course, is not going to be able to. And here comes the fling onto Muffin Cutie as well. He's not in good shape. Pops his ultimate, tries to stun him up into the air, but here comes Patoy. Muffin Cutie's going nowhere. Another kill picked up for Dignitas.
And even though the initial dive went for Vulcan, almost nothing else has went their way. Dignitas still pushing up this lane. They have the 4, they have 2 members down. They know that Rumble and Rise are in other lanes. It's going to be really hard for Vulcan to keep this turret alive. I think Dignitas gets it for free.
And everyone's just on other sides of the map, and no one's even trying to go anywhere, so certainly Dignitas, this is theirs. You've called that one correctly. 5 turrets now to this team, and just since 8 minutes in, just everything seemed to be going their way. Every move was correct, and they've just snowballed ahead.
So let's look at the items here. We got Morellonomicon on to Scar's Gragas. This is an item that's been picking up a lot of steam in the LCS lately. The cooldown reduction plus the mana regen is just a really efficient, good premium for that item. And especially on someone like Gragas who really loves to spam his spells a bunch in teamfights, it is so important because once he gets a blue buff with his masteries and with the Morellonomicon, Scar is flat at 40% CDR right now. So he's pumping out the maximum amount of damage for that one. You look, Lizard Soul and Locker of the Iron Solari completed for Crumbs, so he is way ahead of X Smithy, 6,400 to 4,000 gold in that scenario, and it's just looking good for them.
All right, and of course you can see the rest of the scores down at the bottom of your screen there. AD carries, at least for Vulcan's sake, are matching up pretty closely, but other than that, pretty much every lane. Well, no, I take that back. Top lane actually pretty close as well, but the lanes that you mentioned, of course, just snowballing ahead for Dignitas. Patoy has picked up an Oracles for himself. He's starting to clear around the map right here. ManCloud just forced to wave clear in mid, try to get his gold back up, stack that tier, get the Rod of Ages. And you're just seeing kind of people go back to lanes. PewDiePie farming at the bottom. Patoy still roaming around with that Oracles, looking for openings. And, of course, Scar. Now he's like one-shotting minion waves.
And Patoy's actually taken just as big an advantage from Crumbs than anyone in the game. He's went for the double gold per 10 items, and the fact that they've gotten the 5 turrets has just given him so much control over him. He had like a 1,500 gold advantage on Muffin Cutie. Supports and junglers, more so than anyone, benefit from global turret and dragon gold just because they generally do not farm as many minions. So that's why Patoy is able to do what he's doing right now. If the game were to continue to stretch, Patoy would become a real threat on support Zyra.
And that's going to be fun. I know if we look back at Europe, we see players like Krepa will actually go for a sort of carry-ish Zyra, picking up Leandries and things like that. We'll see what sort of build Patoy goes for here. The pink ward right there really helping Vulcan try to keep their own jungle alive. But I'm a PewDiePie is around, Crumbs is around. Will they go for a steal?
And Vulcan is scared right now because they've lost so many fights in a row, and they know how strong Crumbs and the rest of Dignitas are right now. Pulling the golem out of the brush where has been pink warded is a smart move by Dignitas, but they want to fight if they have a window.
Yeah, and Crumbs are right on the outside. He's going to charge the Q. He finds Zuna. Look at the burst coming down on him. Zuna will flash away, dives away from that one. A successful ultimate as well. Smithy's going to drop everyone back. Oh, the barrel from Scar is so good. They find Smithy. They force the flash. But look at the health bars. They are so low because Psycho Sid has shown up. He flashes in. He finds Kiwi Kid. Mandatory Cloud picks up 1. And it's going to be the other picked up for Psycho Sid. A 2-1 in this fight, actually.
And that was a fight that was won by Vulcan. Amazing. It seemed like every time Vulcan tried to disengage, Dignitas had a way of getting back in, but because they burned so much on the initiation and didn't get like a clean catch, I guess, and then got eaten by the Rumble ult at the end of the fight, they did end up losing that one, which is a huge win for Vulcan.
Yeah, they spent a ton on Zuna, and like the carries came in late, so gold lead a little bit closer now, 5,000 gold, 30k to 25k. Vulcan down 4 kills, down 4 turrets, but we just saw them claw themselves back in, so they are definitely not down and out just yet. Unfortunately, their jungle is still getting taken away. PewDiePie steals away the red buff. You just saw Scar on Gragas way on the other side of the map taking farm. Dignitas just feels in control of this map right now.
And unless Vulcan can take control of their own jungle and maybe get a few turrets, they'll win as many small team fights 2-1 in Dignitas in their own jungle as they want, and they will not pull ahead in the game, right? Like, with their jungle getting stolen, there's no way they can catch up in gold. They have to be able to take objectives and get some map control back.
All right, we're going to see if they're able to do that, of course. Haven't seen an Oracles just yet on anyone. They did have the Ruby Sightstone there from Muffin Cutie, and by killing Patoy in that last fight, they did remove the Oracles. We'll see if that ends up being enough here. Dignitas, again, looking for an engagement. A little bit of damage in a Man Cloud, but instead they find the Dragon, although Vulcan doesn't necessarily want to let them have that.
Yeah, there's two people of Dignitas that were up top, so Dignitas is a little afraid of getting caught in a 4v5 here, knowing Mandatory Cloud has teleport on Rise as well.
That's going to be a complete Vulcan control, then really, really nice move by them. They've pinched it out. That is their Dragon. Good pickup. That will help them get back in. The gold lead shrinking ever so slightly here. Mancloud, though, completely pushed away from his turret. Another turret now in Dignitas' favor. That is all 6 outer turrets now for Dignitas by 21 minutes.
I think if you give the choice for Dignitas that you get an inner turret for the Dragon, they're going to take the inner turret every day of the week, right? Sometimes the outer turrets are justifiable for Dragons, but almost never are inner turrets justifiable for Dragons. So Vulcan was trying to make the play there, really trying to get some of that map control back, but they just ended up losing more map control in the process.
And it's poor Vulcan, of course. They're just forced back and back and back and back. Kiwi Kid, of course, the perennial split pusher on Singe. This time it was actually Scar and Cutie Pie doing it. Patoy making his way towards mid. Actually has 33 minion kills, so even he is out CSing his lane opponent.
What a monster.
Right?
On Zyra right there. Look at all that CS he's picking up, stealing it from Cutie Pie. That's why Cutie Pie is losing to Zuna.
Yeah, it's, I mean,
not quite.
Never mind the math that it doesn't add up. Trust me, it is all Patoy's fault. He's keeping that KDA alive, trying to keep the gold per minute up. He's just all going for the LCS stats.
Yeah, Cutie Pie's KDA is taking a little slip here. That's 6.
It's only 6?
6. Yeah, he needs more than that.
I think it was like 7.5 before.
Crumbs is sitting at infinity right now, so
can't divide by 0.
KDA.
He's actually breaking the systems right now.
Yeah.
Cannot tabulate anymore. Crumbs still running around the map. Pink ward is on Baron, just freshly placed. So Dignitas still exerting a heck of a lot of map control. Vulcan wanted to put a stamp on the map themselves. They've actually grouped towards mid. Muffin Cutie wearing an Oracle's Elixir himself. That little pretty pink bow on top of his head, helping him see invisible things. They're moving themselves forward. And
I love the fact that Crumbs has picked up the Aegis of the Legion against the double AP comp of Vulcan right now. So if they get a 4v4, maybe even a 3v4, they might be able to come out on top. They probably want to give this turret away, though, because Cutie Pie was split pushing the bottom lane.
And so finally a turret being... there we go, I almost missed that one. Finally a turret being picked up since like 8 minutes in here for Vulcan, putting a bit of a stamp on the map, but now they're just running away. They know Dignitas is scary, and Kiwi Kid's coming in from the side. Can he find something? Pops the ultimate. He's going to look for Zuna. A beautiful headbutt from Muffin Cutie. Scar's going to go for the ultimate. He's going to find Zuna. Look at the burst damage. Ult comes in as well. A whole heck of a lot of damage. Teleport in from Mancloud. Who's going to fall first? Crumbs. He's going to find Zuna. What's going to be next? It's going to be Vulcan running away, actually. Kiwi Kid not going to find someone else.
So another really great splitting barrel by Scar, and this is the story for Dignitas. They can find fights when they want them, even if it's just Kiwi Kid running down from out of nowhere and starting it. At this point, Dignitas is clearing out wards at Baron. They should know that there's still 4 people on Vulcan that are up. They have to be baiting for some kind of fight, and I think Vulcan might know it.
And there it is. Cutie Pie right there, getting a lot of damage on a Muffin QT. Surely they both have Cutie in their name. Alistair forced to run away. Cutie Pie going to go back up towards the Baron. And for 5-men struck, Dignitas are going to push for this. However, all of Vulcan are alive, though one of them is far away, and they're going to push in. What can they find? A lot of damage on a Kiwi Kid, actually, is what they find. He's dropped dangerously low. He will die to Baron. Oh. He will! Mandatory Cloud getting the kill credit onto that one unassisted. Now 10-6. That's a great pickup.
Yeah, Dignitas has got to get out of there. If they're going to bait the Baron, you can't do that much damage to it, right? Like, I think they just had a miscommunication. Half the team wanted to do Baron, half the team probably thought that Vulcan was going to be giving them the Baron or just afraid to fight. Like, that was a bit of a mind game that I think Vulcan won out on, and it did end up costing Kiwi Kid his life.
Oh, a very beautiful play by them, trying to pull themselves back in. The Golem has respawned, so I think this is like 2 of 5 or 2 of 4 blue buffs that Vulcan is finally going to get for themselves here. Unless Zuna steals it. We've seen comebacks in this game before. Mancloud gets it, all right.
I mean, Mandatory Cloud is sitting on 2,500 mana, so how much mana regen do you really need at that point is what Zuna was probably saying. And Zuna going probably for either the Trinity Force or the Iceborne Gauntlets as well. Like, blue buff on Ezreal is just not something that is completely unheard of, especially in late game teamfight situations. But for Rise, the cooldown reduction, if you don't have any, is incredibly key because you need to be able to cycle your Qs over and over again. Rise's passive, of course, reducing the cooldown of spells every time, but this is a bit of a lull here. Dignitas continuing to steal the jungle, but they still haven't broken the final ring of Vulcan's turrets.
They've not, but again, that Lizard buff just completely going for them. Picked up there by Crumbs once more. So just perennial, just Lizard buff steals going towards Vi. Likes to punch things, punch the Lizard a whole bunch. Let's see what happens here. Dignitas, again, trying to put out ward control. That Oracle's is theirs. Pink ward on Baron. Another green ward comes down from Vulcan, though. They see Baron's not yet been started. They've actually got pretty good vision overall. They've got one in the mid lane as well. Patoy, what I really like about how he's doing this with Zyra is he's using seeds as wards. There's actually a very long cast range there, and he spots Muff and Cutie. Of course, Muff and Cutie steps on the trap, makes it go away, but that's something I've seen from Patoy a lot, is he keeps using seeds to spot things out. Meanwhile, the team is splitting up again. I'm a Cutie Pie towards the bottom lane, and Vulcan grouping up towards mid.
It's that extra safety he can get in with the Zyra plants, knowing he has the Oracle's Elixir. But the last time I'm a Cutie Pie decided to split push, Vulcan pushed hard into the mid lane, and they actually were able to get a turret. So I'm a Cutie Pie's got to make his way back. Don't feel like Vulcan's feeling frisky enough to go in for that one.
No, he has actually run his way back towards the mid lane. Of course, Vulcan backing up themselves as well. They do still feel a little bit pensive here. The gold lead is just sitting there at 5,000 gold. 26 minutes in. Actually, Crumbs, he's going to find Zuna. There comes the initiation. What is going to be the damage here? Crumbs not even taking much damage himself. Ult comes out. Beautiful ult onto Zuna. Cutie Pie picks up the kill credit onto that one, but that was a nice shot there by Skara.
Zuna cannot run any farther away, but Dignitas' chase was just so immense. Vi plus Gragas was great, and now they're going to try to do the Baron dance once again. They have the Oracles on Patoy still, so they're clearing out the pre-wards, and they put a higher threat on the fake approach this time. I wonder if Vulcan will come into them or whether Dignitas is going hard on the Baron. Looks like Dignitas wants to kill it.
Yeah, Cutie Pie going to dash over the wall as well. They've got pretty much everyone there except Patoy. Mandatory Cloud staying actually in the mid lane, and there's no ward coverage. Baron down below half health.
Look how cautious Vulcan is being right now. They weren't sure if they're going for a Baron or they're waiting in a brush, so they have to scout all this stuff out beforehand.
And Scar's going to go look in, put in a lot of interference. It's going to be blue team picking up Baron Nashor. 27 minutes, that one goes down. Crumbs charging up. Is he going to find Xmithy? Not going to chase in for that one. Vulcan will get away cleanly, but of course so did Dignitas with Baron.
That was a great play for them, the pick to the Baron, and because they had kind of the mind game going from last time, the last time they were on the Baron, Dignitas stayed on Baron too long and actually lost some people. So Vulcan's probably thinking, there's no way they just go hit the Baron again because we checked him last time. Nope. Dignitas is actually going to go straight for Baron, and Vulcan was caught looking for a fight. So if they just would have ran straight to Baron and not thought about the potential traps, I think Vulcan would have been able to harass that. But because they didn't, Dignitas gets the Baron.
All right, and of course a great pickup for them. We crushed 28 minutes into this game, and they've finally stretched that lead a bit more than we're used to. Now, 7,500 gold, really a bit bigger than that 5,000 we saw for most of this game here. Vulcan's still trying to keep themselves alive. They're certainly not down and out, but they've been so slow to find advantages almost, where, you know, they get a turret at 8 minutes, then a turret at 20 minutes. They get a dragon every once in a while. They get like half their own jungle. They've got to try to find something to turn themselves around, it seems.
They've been very pressured the whole game, and Dignitas has made sure not to let up in almost any circumstance. If they go for the dragon, Dignitas is there for a turret, right? If Dignitas is getting a kill, they immediately force the Baron, and if there's a jungle, Dignitas is invading. So it's just Vulcan hasn't been able to find the fights that they want, and I don't know if they'll get to that point because the Runic Bulwark is there for Dignitas right now before the big spell penetration items come out for Vulcan, and they're really trying to go all in, but there's Muffin Cutie missing the headbutt pulverize again, as we talked about.
And he had to pop his ultimate as well. The ult coming in from Patoy knocks Muffin Cutie into the air. The Alistair getting just chunked down despite that ultimate from him. Really, really nice there by Dignitas, and they are again going to continue this siege. Oracle's on Patoy, actually taking a lot of damage. Look at the burst from ManCloud. Not quite going to find it. No abilities from Zuna. Oh, they do pop the ults. He flashes, but it's not enough. Psycho Sid picks that kill up with ManCloud's help.
But now it is just a Patoy down, and they know all of Vulcan's ultimates are used except for Jin's out, and they know Muffin Cutie is down. They might continue the siege with just 4 people if they can.
Well, of course, they're out of minions right now. A new wave coming up in the next 10 to 15 seconds. We'll see if Dignitas goes for that. They are still grouped up around this. A gigantic wave pushing in the bottom lane, actually, from Vulcan, but I don't think Dig is going to try to take that bait just yet. Scar, a lot of poke dropping Zuna low, and here it comes. The next wave is here, and Dignitas will push in.
They might just go for this. I mean, Crumbs is charging up his Vault Breaker, but the repelling of the wave is pretty good for Vulcan, and it looks like Dignitas is going to look elsewhere. They're just not confident enough without Patoy.
All right, and of course, just going to be a little bit of a reset. They will steal away the jungle over and over and over again. Just Vulcan just kept away from these trees, unable to take down golems and lizards. Dignitas, another blue buff themselves. Smithy came by, could not find Skara though, and actually he's in a bit of a dangerous situation. Cutie Pie's around. He's got the rest of Vulcan to back him up though.
And Patoy actually going to steal even a little bit more CS. He's the one they're using to split push the bottom lane. That is a substantial amount of gold Patoy's actually getting. You look at the gold, Patoy's got 7,800, Kiwi Kid's got 8,100. So
yeah.
The support is doing a hell of a job keeping his farm up. He's basically turning himself into the farm of a top laner or a solo laner soon once he starts getting some of those items in.
He's outgolding Smithy certainly, and as you just said, he's right there by Psycho Sid. So Zhonya's Hourglass possibly the next buy for him. Had that Seeker's Arm Guard. Kiwi Kid's going to be back to split pushing that bottom lane. He is no stranger to split pushing the side lanes as Dignitas' Singed player.
Well, they did say in week 2 when they started their winning streak that they were having some issues getting a lead in a game, or like closing out a game. They could always get the leads, but they couldn't close. So their plan to finish off the games, as you know, is let's just push all the lanes until we win.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they've kind of defaulted to this time. They tried that extended siege in the mid lane. Not too much worked for them. They did pull off that great Baron play, but now they do look like they're back to just being like, all right, we're going to continue to outfarm them, and we're going to eventually win, guys.
And it seems to be the case, of course. And I mean, if you think back to like DreamHack Summer, where you had Moscow 5 against Counterlogic Gaming Europe, they had a giant gold lead and just had to, try to bash through the base, and of course couldn't there when CLG held it along for over an hour. We'll see if that ends up being the case here. Dignitas certainly building themselves up. 8,500 gold up, 31.5 minutes in. Still up 4 turrets, up 5 kills, up dragons, up a Baron. Everything's getting pushed. We'll see if they can find something here.
And I wonder, they're not going for any huge pushes right now aside from the Oracles on Patoy. They're probably going to elixir up before they do one of those really big plays. It does really look like they're just waiting on here. The big items for Skara are certainly there. Like Gragas is doing with 40% tons of damage with 40% CDR, 457 AP, and then great spell pen combinations he's got going. He's sitting just at full magic pen 40% with 20 spell pen. It's all going really well, and they're slowly pushing up all of the side lanes. Yeah,
Cutie Pie putting a lot of pressure down there. Disengages from Xmithie's Xin Zhao. You just saw that a second ago. The rest of Vulcan actually stuck in their base. They're all standing on those cobblestones, whereas Dignitas has that lush grass under their feet. It's just a nicer place to be when it's just, softer ground for your feet.
They're not confined. They can run around.
I mean, and you got someone like Alistar. I mean, Minotaurs want to run free, man. They want to be with their, well, unfortunately, it's the last Minotaur, I think, but he would have liked to be with his people on the pastures, and he's unable to. He's cooped up with a bunch of random humans.
Yeah.
And a Yordle, ugh.
And a mech Yordle.
Yeah,
What's
right?
going on with that?
How lame. So, Cutie Pie, of course, the split pusher on the right-hand side. I guess his turn to take the farm from the right-hand side lane. It was singed before. He's going to push up. Just look at the chunk he just does to Zuna. Takes about a quarter of his health with one basic attack. Not even critting him. And that turret now down to half health. They're not going to find the initiation. They're just getting the damage on these turrets, and these turrets do not regen.
Yeah, they're slowly working this one in. They might just be waiting for the next Baron spawn so they can pull off a play. I think Dignitas would be much more comfortable going into Vulcan's base if they had a person advantage. As it is now, they're just delaying here. They know if they wait in this situation, Vulcan's probably not going to make a play on them, but they actually just go for Zuna. Oh, they almost spiked him out.
Jeez, just one ult would have been all it took right there to take the rest of the damage output. But, of course, they forced him away. Still a 5-on-4 Dignitas. The damage on the turret is there. Ult comes back from Zuna. Doesn't even take out caster minions. And let's see what they go for. The nice fling onto Xmithie down below half health. Popped his ult as well. He's going to get chunked down. Crumbs is godlike. Ult comes out from Rumble. Will they get the rest of the damage? Oh, Mandatory Cloud has been assault and battery. That's a rainy day for him. And now Psycho Sid going to get dropped, and only Zuna is alive. He might live long and prosper, but the rest of Vulcan certainly are not going to be able to here. This inhibitor is going to fall, and Dignitas are still pushing in the base.
So that was what they were waiting for. They were just waiting to win whenever they wanted, because they decided to just go at that point. They got amazing poke on Azuna, but then that fight was total obliteration by Dignitas. They'd gotten the accumulated advantage from the rest of the game, and it looks like they're pushing on the Nexus right now.
Yeah, there you go. The second turret is gone. Nexus laid bare. Dignitas going to, again, hamper Vulcan's chances at victory. They're going to extend their winning streak to 6. Dignitas, a great play by them.
That was pretty well controlled by Dignitas. They had that slight slip up at the start.